All right, everyone. Unbelievable Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Seriously, John Cena did it. He turned heel, a long time coming. Would it have happened if Vince McMahon still ran the WWE? Probably not. I don't think that would have happened, but now it's a different regime, a different era, and now we get heel John Cena for the first time since 2003, but that's not why I'm doing a video today. I said on my last video I had something big planned, and I do. And no, it's not on Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, but Steamboat would be a good topic to choose from. I am actually talking about the name right there, Barry Windham. That's right, as Gary Michael Capetto would say, from Sweetwater, Texas, weighing 287 pounds, Barry Windham. Yes, Barry Windham. One of my favorites, one of my absolute favorites. I don't know, I've always liked Barry. So I thought, let's take a deep dive into the career of Barry Windham through the magazines. Now, there probably is a lot more articles out there that I missed. I just went based on if his name was on the cover, or if his photo was on the cover, or if it's a magazine I just remember him being in. I picked it. Now, this might be, I don't think it's going to be a one series sort of episode here. A lot of magazines about Barry Windham. So this might be a part series. We'll see how it goes. But let's take a look right now. We got the May 1981 magazine. It says Florida title holder Barry Windham, champion under a cloud of controversy. And yes, I came prepared to show the story at hand. Florida title holder Barry Windham, champion under a cloud of controversy. Just Barry Windham's luck. Throughout his brief career, Windham has kept himself on the straight and narrow. He's avoided the easy path of rule breaking. He wanted to do it his way. Now that he finally won the Florida heavyweight title and reign are clouded by controversy, Windham's victory. And, you know, I didn't watch Florida wrestling. Haven't seen a single episode, to be honest. It was never on the WWE Network. I believe the what do you call it? WWE On Demand. Remember that? The 24/7 or WWE on Classics On Demand. They would show Florida episodes from time to time, but they never put it on the WWE Network. The closest I ever saw was clips from Florida, thanks to Mid-Atlantic or Bill Watts' Mid-South Wrestling, showing clips of what was going on in Florida if a certain wrestler is coming into the territory. So I did not get to see Barry's Florida reign ever, unfortunately, and maybe one day I'll look it up. It's got to be on YouTube, I would think. That was May 1981 Pro Wrestling Illustrated. This is Sports Review Wrestling May 81, and we got Windham versus Jaggers. Florida's future is at stake. Another story there. So there we have, the future is a difficult thing to predict. According to their supporters and themselves, Barry Windham and Bobby Jaggers should be a big part of Florida's future, but both are determined to wipe the other out, clearing the way for their own ambitions. It is a battle to watch. So, again, I never really saw much of Bobby Jaggers wrestle. I think he's on some... it's called, like, I think it's like an app on my Roku TV, like Free Wrestling, and it's like all this old wrestling from like Memphis or I want to say it was maybe Joe Blanchard's organization, but I think Bobby Jaggers is there. I do know his forehead is a bloody mess a lot of the times, is Bobby Jaggers, but yeah, there's some good photos of Barry and Bobby in action there from Florida. Okay, next up, April 82, Inside Wrestling, the Blackjacks' Big Gamble. Can they survive as a team? This, of course, being Blackjack Mulligan Sr. and Jr. Let's see here. Oh, there it is. The Blackjacks' big gamble, can they survive as a team? So Barry Windham stopped being Barry Windham for a while. He went to Mid-Atlantic, became Blackjack Mulligan Jr. I did see all that stuff because it was on the Mid-Atlantic Wrestling I was watching on the network. This looks like, was this in Florida too where he did that? I'm not too sure. It just says NWA constantly. But, so yeah, Barry Windham dyed the hair black and became a blackjack, and that wouldn't be the only time he was a blackjack in his career, but we'll get to that much later on in his repertoire of gimmicks, because Barry had a few, let's be honest, as time went on. May 82, PWI, Blackjack Mulligan Jr., I trust no one, not even my father. So here we go. There it is, Blackjack Mulligan Jr., I trust no one, not even my father. A young man grows up fast in wrestling. It isn't long before he learns there are no friends forever, and the only long-term goal a grappler can have is winning tonight and wrestling tomorrow. Blackjack Mulligan Jr. has been betrayed by a friend. He vows never to let it happen again. So there is the story there. It looks like he's wrestling, what is that? Wayne Ferris. That's the Honky Tonk Man with the long blonde locks, and not the Elvis look that he would later have. This would be in Florida, it looks, because I see Kevin Sullivan there as well. Jimmy Holiday, Kevin Sullivan, and a kneeling Tommy Weathers. Now, I know Kevin Sullivan, of course. I believe I heard the name Jimmy Holiday before. I don't know who Tommy Weathers is. And of course, Wayne Ferris is the Honky Tonk Man. So cool to see Honky with the long blonde locks here too. Now we get Barry actually on the cover, but he's still Blackjack Mulligan Jr. It's his tragic story. I have no father. I have no friends. There it is. Blackjack Mulligan Jr.'s tragic story. There's Wayne Ferris, the Honky Tonk Man. So this was around the same time that other story came out clearly. Yeah. So it's pretty much not missing much difference there. Sergeant Slaughter versus Blackjack Mulligan Jr. War Games Without Rules. This is the June 82 Sports Review Wrestling. This is, of course, in Mid-Atlantic when they were doing a thing. I remember watching an episode where Sergeant Slaughter was putting people in his Cobra Clutch, something about, if you can break it or something, or last in it. I forget what it was. He was pretty much doing it to Enhancement Talent Weekly until Blackjack Mulligan Jr. came out, and he did it, and he took it, and he didn't give up or anything, and it pissed off the Sarge. And it started a feud there, and Blackjack Mulligan Sr. came into the territory to help his son out. And it seemed like a pretty interesting thing going on. And then all of a sudden, both Blackjacks left. I guess that was enough of Mid-Atlantic for them. And, Mulligan Jr. went back to Florida, and that's where he became Barry Windham again. So, but yeah, he had an interesting feud with the Sarge. I believe the U.S. heavyweight title was also on the line in those matches. I'm pretty sure Sarge was champion at the time for the U.S. title. August 82 of the wrestler Blackjack Mulligan Jr. vows, I won't let the name Mulligan become a dirty word. So here we see Barry. Barry's got, look at that long hair there too. He grew his hair out long with he still dyed it black, had the black mustache. There he is with Ivan Koloff. My guess I would think that would be Mid-Atlantic still with Ivan. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not familiar with Florida, unfortunately. I don't know if Ivan wrestled in Florida, but I know Ivan was in Mid-Atlantic. There's some action there. Koloff attempts to whip Mulligan Jr. across the ring as a means to escape a standing armbar. Ooh, nicely done, Koloff. So yeah, Barry still being the Blackjack there. Here we have one-on-one, Mulligan Sr. versus Mulligan Jr. This is, of course, those classic interviews they would have with the two wrestlers talking trash to each other back and forth. Every month, the telephone wires will crackle as two top grapplers rage and argue. We'll print the unedited transcript of their conversations, giving the fans a privileged glimpse at wrestlers which can be found nowhere else. Meaning, whatever Bill Apter chose to write for said individual, I'm thinking, I don't really believe they recorded a phone conversation between two grapplers each month. But the story there, I guess, because Junior feels betrayed by Senior, I'm guessing, because they kind of hinted at that earlier on. Here we have Pro Wrestling Illustrated Summer 82 with a full photo of... There it is. I'll go sideways too so you can get a good look like that. There's Blackjack Mulligan Jr., second generation superstar. Let's see what... Oh yeah, that's right. That's when they what do you call it? Quoted the wrestler. They just didn't say who he hated in the greatest match and all that stuff. Inside Wrestling, November 82. Blackjack Mulligan reveals there's no Mulligan blood in Barry Windham's veins. So here we have the story on pretty much father versus son. A story as old as the Bible. You know, it's a tale of all tales, father versus son, and we get it in professional wrestling. Blackjack Mulligan reveals there's no Mulligan blood in Barry Windham's veins. Well, I would hope not, because Mulligan really wasn't your last name there, Bobby Windham. So, but yeah, I guess they tried to play it off that Mulligan may have been more important than the name Windham here. I don't know, but there we see the fact that, yes, you're going to get a father-son feud, it looked like. What do we got here? March 83 of The Wrestler. Now, where is... Let's see. There's got to be a... right here. It was in red. Blackjack Mulligan's message to Barry Windham. Don't stop until you've crippled Jake Roberts. So here we are in Florida. Barry Windham's got the blonde hair back. And he had a feud with Jake Roberts, who left Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, who was a top babyface there, even teaming with Blackjack Mulligan Jr. and Ricky Steamboat and all those guys there at the time. Jake would go to Florida, become a heel, change his ways. And I remember Jake Roberts said in a shoot interview with RF Video something about the feud with Barry in Florida was all arms and legs, because they're both tall, lanky dudes. It was, you know, they weren't big. They were still relatively, you know, they're fit, but they're not huge men. They had some thinness to them, but they had quite the war in Florida, from what I understand. I never saw it, unfortunately, so that's that. The Wrestler, June 83. Flair Windham match spurs controversy. Should the NWA champion be allowed to choose his challengers? Here we got Barry now. Like I said, he's got the blonde highlights in the hair now. He's going with that look, getting away from the Blackjack Mulligan Jr. look, being back to the old Barry. Of course, Barry Windham and Ric Flair had amazing matches over the years, more so in the NWA with Jim Crockett, right, Mid-Atlantic, in like 87, and they had a lot of matches, and then until Barry turned and joined Flair. But the Florida matches they had too, I believe they wrestled on Battle of the Belts in one of those shows once. Windham wrestled Flair, and they're always entertaining to see. I always enjoyed when those two would hook it up. The Wrestler, August 83. Is Barry Windham's slide from contention irreversible? Wow. So here we go again. Having lost the Southern title, Barry Windham is faced with the most crucial ordeal of his career. Those who love him pray he'll be worthy of the challenge. Those who know him best fear the career, as this may be Windham's last chance. What, that doesn't make best fear the career? That's weird. I don't think that's supposed to be in there. So what do we got here? Barry Windham is wrestling Frank Dusek. Never seen Frank Dusek wrestle that I know of, that I can remember. Never seen, again, this is in Florida, so I don't know. I don't remember ever seeing him wrestle anywhere. So I can't really say much about him in general, but Barry had issues with him here, apparently, right? The Wrestler, September 83, Blackjack Mulligan and Barry Windham has their reunion turned sour. Let's see. We got the most tempestuous father-son relationship in wrestling exists between Blackjack Mulligan and his son, Barry Windham. After a cataclysmic, wow, I can't even talk today, break and heartwarming reconciliation is a new tempest brewing. Even the men themselves do not know for sure. So I see Dusty Rhodes there in a photo, and there's Mulligan Sr. Barry is giving a drop kick to J.J. Dillon, who would manage him just a few short years later. And there's Frank Dusek again, prevents Barry Windham from making a tag to his father, Blackjack Mulligan. So again, this is down in Florida, where Barry made home. A lot of his career was, in Florida, except for his, run with the, he had a short run with the WWF during the WrestleMania era, but shockingly, I don't think there's much about the WWF era of Barry in the magazines. I feel like, because he wasn't there that long, right? Maybe a year, if that. I don't really know, but we got December 83, Sports Review Wrestling, Barry Windham versus Joe LeDuc, the feud that terrifies Florida fans. Joe LeDuc's forehead, always a bloody mess. Just scars, and oh man, he bled a lot. So it started in a Tampa, Florida parking lot. Barry Windham ended up in the hospital, and Joe LeDuc added to his reputation for ruthlessness. Windham demands revenge. Fans are terrified that Barry's enormous courage will force him into a situation so dangerous the young grappler may find his career and his life in jeopardy. That's good writing. That's good journalism right there. That makes you tuned in. Barry Windham and Joe LeDuc battling it out in Florida. July 84 of The Wrestler. Windham versus Bass, the night Barry Windham learned how to hate. So, Ron Bass now went from Mid-Atlantic as a babyface. He went to Florida, became a villain, a heel, a bad guy, if you will. And Barry Windham and Ron Bass had quite the feud down there. Barry Windham used to call Ron Bass his friend. The only contact they have today is when their bodies collide in combat. Bass shocked the wrestling community recently when he and Joe LeDuc assaulted Windham in a Florida parking lot. In so doing, however, Bass might have performed a great service to Windham. He taught the young Texan how to use the emotion of hatred to his own advantage. So there we have, looks like Ron Bass was in on that attack with Joe LeDuc. So Barry had two big, strapping men to contend with here in Florida in Joe LeDuc and Cowboy Ron Bass. Not looking good for Barry Windham here. April 84, Inside Wrestling. Barry Windham's night of humiliation. The match that embarrassed him into leaving the country. Let's take a look at this. Barry Windham's night of humiliation, the match that embarrassed him into leaving the country. It started as a favor. When it was over, victory had turned into defeat. A hero had fled in shame. A title was lost, and a new masked wrestler appeared on the scene. All because of something that happened long ago when a young man received a saddle as a gift. So again, it's the Ron Bass, Barry Windham feud. Man, Barry's really busted open there, bleeding pretty good. I don't really know. Is this maybe the debut of the Yellow Dog coming into the territory? It's possible, because I know Barry wrestled as the Yellow Dog, and he would later wrestle the Yellow Dog in WCW when it was Brian Pillman under the mask. There it is, the Yellow Dog. I was correct. The Wrestler, May 84. Will the fans ever see Barry Windham's face again? Dirty Yellow Dog and his mask of shame. Wow. Okay, let's take a look at this. Barry Windham had been beaten, bloodied, and bruised in the wrestling ring, but humiliation has taken a larger toll on the star than any injury he's ever experienced. As Dirty Yellow Dog, Windham hopes to repay Ron Bass for the shame he feels. The fans fear that if he fails, however, then they have lost Barry Windham for good. The Dirty Yellow Dog. Now, interesting enough, look, Barry on the side here has YD. Who else had YD on the side of their tights? JYD, right? So, I mean, interesting. The Junkyard Dog, Dirty Yellow Dog. I don't think they've ever did business together. They kind of missed out a chance there. Sports Review Wrestling, June 84. Barry Windham's undeserved title shot. Why the NWA treats Ric Flair like a dirty yellow dog. Wow, they're really emphasizing this dirty yellow dog shtick here, eh? Like, holy crap. Here we go. If Barry Windham and Dirty Yellow Dog aren't the same person, why was Windham's return from Japan rewarded with a high spot in the Florida area ratings? And why was Windham, who held neither the Southern title nor the Florida title, given a shot at the NWA World title? Ric Flair demands the answers to these questions. Again, we get Flair and Windham doing their thing in the ring with each other. Always enjoyable to see. Huge fan, like I said. I could watch those guys wrestle each other all the time, and they did. They wrestled for 60 minutes and 90 minutes, time limits. Like, they really went the distance in their matches. July 84 of Pro Wrestling Illustrated, we got a press conference with Barry Windham right there. The NWA officials are sadly mistaken if they're giving me the top spot based on the dog's performance. If that's the case, the Yellow Dog should have the title shots. Okay, Barry. Way to play out that you're not the Dirty Yellow Dog. I gotta love that. That's sweet. Gotta keep it going, eh, Barry? Gotta show off that you're not him, even though you look just like him. Wow, insane. So I guess Dirty Yellow Dog now gone from the territory. Kind of like when in Bill Watts' Mid-South Wrestling, when Junkyard Dog left the territory and a masked wrestler named Stagger Lee came in who looked a lot like the JYD. But no proof, right? No proof. And here we have Barry Windham on the cover of Pro Wrestling Illustrated, December 1984. Do the fans expect too much from Barry Windham? Let's see. Barry Windham is one of the most charismatic young stars in professional wrestling, but popularity can be a double-edged sword. While the fans tend to support every move Windham makes, they also expect Windham to fulfill their greatest expectations. The pressure Windham faces is enormous. Wow. One day I'll learn how to speak properly. Okay, here we go. Barry Windham still doing his thing in Florida. I guess he was getting ready to leave. He's going to be going soon to the WWF. But for right now, that is Barry's early career, the first, 5 years in his career there, or 4 years. He did a lot, right? He did a lot. He went from Florida to Mid-Atlantic to Florida. I mean, that is pretty impressive for that. You know what? I don't want to make these videos too long because I know sometimes when they're long, it can be tough. You have to hit pause and go back and watch it again. I've done them before. I've done long ones, and I know they can be tiring even for me. So I'm going to do a pause here. This will be part 1 of Barry Windham. Part 2 will be everything from 1985 through 1989. So I'll hit that up, and that will be the next video for the Barry Windham episode. This is episode 200, by the way, I believe, if I remember. So this is the 200th video. Pretty cool. Happy to do it on Barry. Happy to make this a continuous thing on Barry here. There should be 3 episodes, so that's not too bad. Again, let's go back to the original thing when I said John Cena is now a bad guy, a heel. He's with The Rock. Will there be a third man? Will this be like the NWO? I don't know. There's been some comparisons online. There's been some talk. Speaking of which, I still say the 4 greatest heel turns in professional wrestling that had a lasting effect on storylines and on careers were simple. It was John Cena last night going heel. It was Seth Rollins turning on the Shield in 2014. It was Hollywood Hulk Hogan being born at Bash at the Beach 96 with the Outsiders and forming the NWO. And it was in 1988 when Barry Windham turned on his tag team champion partner Lex Luger to drop the belts to the Horsemen, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, and join the Four Horsemen that very same night. Those four heel turns, to me, stand out the most as the greatest heel turns in professional wrestling for storylines, for advancement, for just everything involving people's wrestlers' careers. It was perfect. Those four, absolutely perfect. All right, guys, until I do the second video of Barry Windham, I'll talk to you guys later.